Good morning, neighbors. This morning we are here with Cynthia Vargas with ACL. Good morning, Cynthia.
Good morning to everyone.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for being on today. So first, can you tell us a little bit about your organization and tell us some background.
Yeah, so my name is Cynthia Vargas. I work for the Lake County State's Attorney's Office, and I'm also the communications chair for the Latino Community Association. And the Latino Community Association came together after the Lake County Health Department noted that communities of color were being disproportionately affected by COVID-19 pandemic. So they were doing, go ahead.
When you say disproportionately, can you elaborate on that? Like how much more has the non-white community been affected than the white community?
So for every one Caucasian or white person that gets COVID, 9 people in the Latino community are getting infected with COVID. So we are 9 times more likely to become infected with COVID. And this is because we are considered essential workers. We're in the front line working continuously within the factories, within the restaurants, within the cleaning, and you know, all of the domestic type of jobs and landscaping and whatnot. And so we, you know, people in survival mode. And so they have no resources to stop working and stay home like it was initially ordered. And due to this, a lot of people were becoming infected at their workplace and then coming home and unfortunately infecting their family members as well, not knowing that they had contracted the virus. So due to this, the Lake County Health Department convened about 25 to 30 local not-for-profit organizations across Lake County that serve the Latino community. And we have a sister group, it's the AACPG, the African American Community Partnership Group, that is focusing on cultural sensitivity campaigns regarding COVID for our Black brothers and sisters. And so we basically work together in some areas to be able to impact the community and bring these numbers down.
That's great. So this was really an outreach created because of the pandemic. It's been a reaction, and that's one of the things that I've noticed about Lake County in general. We just have really come to the front lines and trying to attack this in a very aggressive manner. And that's why I wanted to highlight your organization as well, so people know that there are so many organizations in the trenches trying to help our next door neighbors through this pandemic. Sometimes it appears that we're kind of normal, but it really is far from that. So what kind of services does your organization provide?
So at this point, we don't give direct services. The Lake County Board, we're very thankful. They approved a $1 million grant from CARES Act funding. And the Lake County Community Foundation initially also granted us a grant that allowed us to provide 2,700 kits to the Waukegan community on August 8th. We are now moving into the Round Lake. So with our mission is to reduce the COVID numbers right now. And so basically what we did is we've divided into 3 major committees: the Advocacy Committee, the Health and Safety Committee, and then the Community Relations and Marketing, Public and Communications Committee. And so all of us have our duty, and the Health and Safety Committee is really the heart and the focal point of this entire organization, because we have identified 9 cities where the numbers are the highest in the Latino communities. And these 9 cities, we're going in order by number in terms of the ones that are mostly infected. And so Waukegan was number 1. We're now moving into the Round Lake areas. And then we will then review the numbers the next week, because they change every day actually. And so then we will move into the next city after we're done with our campaign in Round Lake.
Can I ask a question? I don't know if you would be prepared for this, but when you did the operation on August 8th in Waukegan, how were you met? How was it received in that area? Do you know if the supply was enough for the demand?
it was enough. We had a total of 3,500 kits. Within the kits, we had 2 reusable masks. We had 10 disposable ones. We had a pamphlet with information, educational information from the CDC on how to take care of yourself, how to wash your hands, and what to do if you become infected. We had a thank you letter to our community about, thanking them for coming to our event. But we did receive our turnout was overwhelming. So we met at the Puerto Rican Society. We held the event at the Puerto Rican Society here in Waukegan on Sheridan Road, and the line was wrapped around Route 120. So it was really, really long. We had the mayor call and say, "This is amazing. Like, what is going on? What are you guys doing?" So when the mayor calls, you know that somebody's noticing something. But we had a really good response here in Waukegan, and we're hoping that it is the same in Round Lake.
That's amazing. And it was for PPE, correct? They're coming
It was for
the
PPE.
masks.
Yes.
And that it might sound like a small thing to those that are like that are privileged, but some families are making choices between buying food and a mask. And frankly, even if you can afford the mask, if you can even find them, that's
right.
Even for me, I've had trouble accessing the PPE. So giving it right to the people that need it the most is just amazing how you're getting right down into the ground level in the trenches to help our neighbors.
Yeah, and a lot of people have lost their jobs due to COVID. So a lot of the businesses that had to found themselves in a complicated situation, whether it be financial, whether it be lack of staff, lack of clientele. Some of them had to temporarily close down. So a lot of some individuals didn't have employment at the time, and were struggling to pay their rent, were struggling to pay their utilities. So we knew that these masks were being sold at a very expensive amount. I know Walmart was selling them at $30 for 50, which $30 isn't a lot for a lot of people, but for someone who's fighting between the difference of paying a light bill and getting masks, I think they're going to pay their light bill to continue to be able to assist their children in their needs and their families. So that's just one example of how much this pandemic has impacted communities of color, not only financially, but obviously even right now that school has started, some of them are struggling to obtain internet and devices to be able to academically educate their children, because everything went, obviously everything being done through Zoom or through different electronic platforms. And so now we're mobilizing to be able to touch base with Comcast to see and to educate families on how to obtain internet at a lower cost.
That's great to hear. And as a former teacher, I hear the parents that say they're very concerned about the academic achievement and losing that momentum, but we have families that don't have any connection at all to school, and that had been their lifeline, and that's where I'm concerned as well. I think safety is paramount, and that connection, like you're saying, if the cell phone bill wasn't paid and then the school has no way to communicate with the family to even know what their needs are.
Right.
That's that could be a whole nother conversation in itself. But I wonder, since this is through Lake County, is there any way that our neighbors, if they were in a position that could help financially or any other way with products, is there something that they could do if they wanted to help out?
Of course, yes. We're always accepting donations and volunteers to help assemble the PPE kits. Right now, we are in the process of transitioning the funding from the county into our fiscal agent to obtain the supplies that we need for our next distribution and assemble those supplies. But we're always looking for like boxes to put all of the PPE equipment in. We're always looking for volunteers to help assemble. We're looking for any PPE type of donations or reusable mask or even fabric. We can find individuals who are volunteering to sew the mask for us that may be reusable. So even fabric would help with that. And then obviously we have the small children who obviously it's hard to find masks or a surplus of masks for small children. So any donations that involve masks for small children would be very, very helpful.
Okay, great. And where could they go? How could they get in contact with you? How would they go about doing that to get in contact with you?
Well, they can contact me at 847-309-6065. That's my direct work cell phone. And then they can email me at C Vargas, so C as in case, V as in Victor, ARGAS at lakecountyil.gov, or visit our Facebook page, Latino Community Association, or Asociacion Comunitaria Latina, and find us on Facebook and send us a message.
Ay, qué bueno. So
Gracias.
That's really great. And I think that's what we also want to appeal to those that haven't been as adversely affected as our neighbors of color, that if they can help in any other way, that would be really great. And I want to reiterate that our communities of color are affected 9 times greater than non-white. And that's just, it's really unacceptable. So we need to do all we can to try and help those essential workers, as you said, that can't afford to not work and are risking their lives for the rest of us so that we can continue moving the economy forward. Cynthia Vargas, thank you so much. Do you have any last things that we missed that you want to share that are important?
I want to thank you for shedding light on our organization and for assisting us with this interview. And I hope that whoever's able to help can help us out a little bit. And if anyone wants to become a part of the Latino Community Association, they can contact me as well.
Wonderful. And we'll put that information on our Facebook page, and hopefully people will share it. And yeah, it's just highlighting amazing humans like you that are in the trenches, helping our neighbors that are most vulnerable. Really, really appreciate your time. And thanks for joining us this morning on Live Local Lake County. Okay.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Cynthia.
much.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Adios.
Bye.